Okay. We're good to go. Attendees are here.
Great, great. Welcome. Welcome and good evening to you all. Thank you for joining us today to kick off our fall-winter lecture series. Before we begin this evening's presentation, I'd like to take a moment to introduce the Friends of Pelham Bay Park. My name is Nilka Martel, and I proudly serve as the president of the Friends of Pelham Bay Park, alongside some extraordinary people, our vice president, Barbara Byrne, our treasurer, Peter Quinones, membership secretary, Sam Halpern, and recording secretary, Amelia Zino. Since 1992, the Friends of Pelham Bay Park has worked with Parks and Recreation to ensure that Pelham Bay Park is a place used for recreation and conservation, where anyone can go and learn about our natural world or just spend a day enjoying the many things the park has to offer. We are a diverse group of neighbors, ball players, hikers, cyclists, dog owners, and history lovers who care about the park and contribute a range of skills. We recruit, train, and supervise volunteers to plant trees, to remove invasive plants that threaten our native biodiversity, and maintain the park's hiking and riding trails. We also sponsor or participate in community events, such as Earth Fest, our Family Fun Day, and of course, the Bronx Native American Festival, along with our signature end of the summer event, the Drive-In Movie Theater in the Orchard Beach parking lot. We also raise funds for educational programs, such as the Sensory Garden for special needs children. Pelham Bay Park is owned, operated, and maintained by New York City's Parks Department and overseen by Administrator Marianne Anderson, who is with us this evening. Please follow us on social media, visit our website, and if you'd like, kindly make a donation or become a member. This evening, we present to you the first of our fall-winter lecture series. A very warm welcome to a dear friend of mine, Bronx historian, Angel Hernandez of Bronx Excursion, also the president of the Huntington Free Library in Westchester Square. Angel led this walk during the summer, and it was so informative that we've asked him to come back and share this rich history in a hope that it sparks a new interest in you and an appreciation for Pelham Bay Park. If you have any questions during this presentation, we ask that you put them in the Q&A box and not in the chat function. And if time permits, at the end, we'll answer a few questions. So without further ado, I present to you Mr. Angel Hernandez.
Thank you, Noka, and thank you, Friends of Pelham Bay Park, for having me. I'm just gonna screen share so you can see what's going on. And okay, so thanks for having me. As Noka mentioned, during the summer, we did this walking tour, and I enjoyed it so much because it's one of the least known places, sections of Pelham Bay Park. Huntington Woods, if you're not familiar with it, it's right off the highway. It's just above, right on top of Country Club. And like I said, it's one of those places that you least know about because it's woods. There's nothing really there until you traverse the property. So it was one of the last pieces of public property acquired by the Parks Department. And I am just delighted to talk more about it because there's some serious and some interesting history attached to this part of Pelham Bay Park, Huntington's Woods. So as we all know, you know, I'm not gonna educate everyone here that Pelham Bay Park, to me, is the best park in the world, all right? I've been to many parks all over, and Pelham Bay Park it still catches my eye. It's the largest park in New York City. It's almost 3,000 acres. We have a beach, we have animal refuge, we have a golf course, we have a historic house, the Bartow Pell Mansion, and there's just so much more at Pelham Bay Park. But the section I want to talk to you about is, you see that X on the bottom left there? And then I have a close-up of the piece of Huntington Woods. Now, before I get into Huntington Woods, I always like to talk about stuff that's happening or historic items that are located near the woods. Like, for example, you had the Eileen Orion Recreation Center, American Boy, which I will get into in a little while. But a lot of people, they go to country club, they have these questions about the streets. And it's only when you know more about this piece of Pelham Bay Park that some of those questions will be answered. So before the area we call near Huntington's Woods and the Eileen Recreational Campus, it was the Leopold Rice Stadium. And you can see it here on your left. Leopold Rice was a German-born, he was an American businessman. He was also a musicologist. A musicologist is the study of sound, of music. He was also president of the American Battery Company, Electric Battery Company. And he gained so much prominence. He was a world-class chess player. Well, when he passed away in the 1920s, his wife, Judith, donated over $1 million to create this recreational facility. And this is what you see here. Now, the reason why I show this photo, if you look to your far right, you can see that there are residence stairs that are no longer in existence. You're looking at Bruckner Boulevard now, and approximately where the overpass is, bringing you into the park itself. So just giving you an idea of the neighborhoods that once were located near the park that were totally obliterated by the Bruckner Expressway. So Leopold Rice, the guy on the bottom right, you know, as I mentioned before, he was a champion in the study of sound and the study of music. However, it's so funny that his wife, Edith, Julia rather, she was an accomplished musician, but she founded the Society for Suppression of the Unnecessary Noise. So I kind of find that a dichotomy. Here's a guy that was a champion for music, you know, a scientist of sound, whereas his wife, she was just totally against sound. She saw the increase of traffic, the elevated trains being built, and she thought that the noises coming from tugboats from all over the city were harming children. So she was very, very a strong proponent for the suppression of noise in the city. Well, as I've mentioned before, there are places in Country Club that are named after certain physicists in sound. For example, George Ohm, Angel Ampere, Radio Drive, Stadium Drive in Country Club. These are all streets inspired by Leopold's legacy as a pioneer in electric battery power. So here's another facility you don't see anymore. Here are some pavilions that were built probably around at the turn of the 20th century, and they were torn down by the early 1930s. These picnic pavilions, they were extremely popular, and they were just located just south of the stadium. So just giving you an idea of the type of structures that were there that are no longer existent, and you can hardly see any remnants of that. Now, we all know about American Boy. American Boy, let me just get the name of the French-born artist. His name was Louis Saint-Lanz. And American Boy was styled as an aesthetic of the Greek sportsmanship. American Boy was encased inside this canopy, this vestibule canopy for many years on top of the Rice Stadium. Well, just like the Rice Stadium when it was demolished in 1989 because of the maintenance, the lack of maintenance rather of it, well, American Boy was also taken down, and he kind of disappeared for many years until later on in 2004 when he made a reemergence, and you see him on your right here, nice and clean. American Boy doesn't have any graffiti on him anymore, but I heard some interesting stories where people actually, you know, would hang out, and, you know, American Boy and Rice Stadium was such a big, it was just a big piece, an aspect of everyone's childhood, especially if you hung out at Pelham Bay Park for so many years. So Indian Rock, this is not a rock outcropping. This is a glacier. This is an erratic glacier. and it's 4 to 6 million years old. And if you look back in Bronx history, it was called Prayer Rock, but there's necessarily no sources or anything pointing to the fact that the Silvernoy or any Native American or indigenous communities use this rock for any praying or any religious services. We actually think, and I've read this more in Bronx history, that it was sort of like a meeting place, or a place where goods were traded from one people to another. But there's just, as far as anything else as a prayer or any ceremonial rock, I haven't heard much of it. In the 1890s, at the turn of the 20th century, the Bronx Society of the Arts and Sciences installed 7 plaques to commemorate the brand new parks of the Bronx, which were formed by an act of the legislation in 1884. But the Indian Rock, it's still in its splendor. It's located not too far from the Dog Run. In fact, in 1909, the Parks Department built a grandstand that held over 500 spectators near Indian Rock, so close that spectators can actually touch it. So a New York Times article explained that the reason why the grandstand was built there is because they wanted it to be as historic as the Indian Rock itself. So that grandstand obviously is no longer there. It's now a baseball mound. So next time when you walk towards the Indian Rock and you pass that little baseball mound, well, just picture a 500-person grandstand there for like probably almost 20 years. And these are the small holes that were left behind from the plaques that were installed on the rocks. So I just want to take it a little, just a step back before Parks Department, before that act of the legislation happened in 1884. The East Bronx was pretty much, as well as the rest of the Bronx in the mid-19th century, pretty much farmland. It was the playground for the rich. You had mansions scattered all over the place. And you also had these scattered towns, these small little hamlets, especially in the East Bronx, and smack in the middle of nowhere. So you've probably heard of Middletown Road, right? Well, you probably wondered where Middletown came from. Well, for many years, up until the 19th century, from the Long Island Sound, you had a brook called the Middlebrook. If you're familiar with Throgs Neck, Weir Creek, well, Weir Creek is part of the Middlebrook, and the Middlebrook ran north and it stopped actually at Middletown, and that's where Middletown gets its name from. So that was the closest vicinity to the properties located where Huntington Woods is today. Well, if you notice to your right, you see Plaisance, or you can see a piece of it. Well, that is an estate called Plaisance, and it was owned by the Waterbury family. James Waterbury goes back in Bronx history to the 18th century. He was a rector of St. Peter's Church at Westchester Square, and his son, James Monty Waterbury, was a world-class polo player. He was a president of American Steel Company, and he brought the house, well, he took over the house, Plaisance, in the 1870s. And just to give you an idea of how Plaisance looked, so here's this Second Empire architectural behemoth of a mansion. You had over 16 bedrooms here. Plaisance was the location where James Waterbury in 1884 thought of the idea of having a country club in Westchester County. Now, let's not confuse it with the country club of Westchester. No, we're talking about the Westchester, the country club that started in Pelham Bay Park at the old Oakshade Mansion, which later became Shanley's Inn. So Monty Waterbury, that's what his friends called him, you know, he was looking for a place to open this club. The Jerome Park racetrack were already closed down in the 1870s. The Morris Park a racetrack, which is now the Morris Park neighborhood, was just closing down as well. So here's Waterbury, thinking of new ideas and scouting new areas where he can bring his rich friends to have fun. When I say rich friends, Laurel Art Spencer, Leonard Jerome. And you have all these other rich guys, just being parts of this country club that they only charged $100 a year. $100 was a lot of money in the 1880s. Well, at the old Oakshade mansion, they had their steeplechase, they had their polo grounds, they had a casino. However, what happened by the late 1880s, the city was already encroaching in that part of the Bronx to create Pelham Bay. So the guys at the country club at Pelham got kicked out, and they later moved to the area we now know as Country Club today. So this is just an example, just a map of showing the country club. Now, if you notice the top, that's still Pelham Bay Park. But if you see where my cursor is, that's still the Waterbury Estate, right? So there's still a little holdout. The Waterbury family are still there. They're still operating their country club, but now it's operating out of the old Antwerp mansion, which is now where Villa Maria Academy sits at Country Club. So if you notice there, the polo grounds, the Country Club Land Association, this is when the Country Club finally started selling pieces of land. And that's when you saw more of the city encroachment into these parts of the Bronx, especially the Parks Department. So if you walk into Huntington's Woods, where Plaisance, that mansion used to be, well, Monty, good old Monty Waterbury, had a habit of burying his animals on his property, especially his favorite racehorses and his favorite race dogs. So what you see here on the bottom left is the graveyard of his favorite sports animals. You can find this if you can locate the police horse stables on the property itself. If you look on your left, that's an actual path that where the dead horses would lead from the stables onto the graveyard for burial ceremonies. And also on the right, there are still horseshoes laying around the property, even today. And some people, they find it, they hang it up on trees, and then they just leave it hanging for show. The last time I was here, when I took these photos, I found more horseshoes laying around. So, it's kind of a solemn sight, but at the same time, it's a vestige of history that a lot of people are not aware of. And here's a close-up of Aldous, who died, a racehorse who died in 1901. He was one of Waterbury's, one of his favorites. So by the late 1880s, you had a gentleman named P Huntington. You probably heard of this gentleman. Huntington was a railroad magnate. He owned the Southern Pacific Railroad, and he chose the Bronx to live. And when he moved to the Bronx, he brought the old Havermeyer Mansion, which is now a part of Preston High School. And he brought other pieces of property throughout the East Bronx. Well, he was the property owner who took over the Waterbury Estate. So if you look just closely here, if you ever look at an atlas and if you see a yellow structure, that means it's made out of wood. If you see it brown or like a burgundy color, it's made out of brick. Well, if you look at this section here, that is Plaisance, but Huntington changed the name to Pleasance, right? To make it sound a little more American. And what he did was he altered the house, he expanded it, right? And later on, he donated it to his son, this gentleman here. Well, that's P Huntington. That's his house, that's part of Preston High School. P Huntington, as I mentioned before, he lived in the Bronx. He was a philanthropist. He was also an avid pool player. And he is the reason why we have the beautiful Huntington Free Library and Reading Room at Westchester Square. And it's actually the place where I'm presenting from this evening. Well, it was this legacy of philanthropy, generosity that his son, Archie Milton Huntington, became a philanthropist in his own right. Archie Huntington, he was a very interesting guy. Well, some say that he was stepson of Collis P. Huntington. However, there is some stories that he was his real son. Well, Collis P. Huntington treated him like a son. He loved him very much. In fact, he wanted to leave him the shipyard business in Newport News. However, Archie Huntington, he was more into the scholarship. He was more into Spanish literature. He was more into Native American culture. And he first got turned on into Spanish language when he stood in his aunt's ranch in Texas in the 1880s. And he spent a lot of time with the Mexican farm hands there. He sort of learned Spanish, and he kind of turned on. He was turned on by Spanish culture, that he began traveling to Spain periodically to take in more of that culture. So when he married his cousin, which is pretty interesting, Collis P. Huntington, his dad, donated Pleasance, the mansion Pleasance, to Archie so he can live in. So Archie Huntington, by the time he was 16 years old, he was almost 6'5". He learned, he knew Greek, he knew Latin. He had honorary degrees from Harvard, from Yale, from the University of Madrid. He was part of all types of Spanish royal societies and military academies as well. And he was a patron of the arts. He's given money to institutions throughout. And with his interest and his verve for Spanish art, he managed to collect books from all over the world that had to do with Spanish or Arabic history, and he amassed a 3,000 volume library at his own house. In fact, he built a library attached, because it was just expanding too far from its capacity. By the way, you're looking at Archie with some of his associates here in Spain, and he's walking the same path El Cid El Campeón took in the famous poems written by Cervantes. Well, Archie Huntington later married Anne Hyatt Huntington, who was a celebrated sculptor. Anne Hyatt Huntington, she was a rock star in her own respect. She designed the Joan of Arc piece on the Upper West Side, which you see here on the top right. And she also designed the El Cid statue that sits outside of the Hispanic Society at Audubon Terrace today. If you're familiar with the Jose Marti statue in Central Park, that was also her. And she just has works all over. Like I said, she's celebrated, and she's just as famous as Archie. She'll always be remembered, especially if you visit the Hispanic Society of America. And that's it right there. The Hispanic Society of America was founded in 1904. When Archie Huntington ran out of room in his personal library, he built this museum. And along with this museum, he also paid to build the American Numismatic Museum, which is a museum of coins. He built the American Geographical Museum, the Museum of the Native American Hay Foundation Museum as well. So this guy, he was just a lover of the arts. He loved building museums. And at this campus on Audubon Terrace, you just saw this explosion of art, explosion of culture happening in New York City, especially this interest in Spanish and also Latin American art. By the way, if you've never visited the Hispanic Society, this is how the Audubon Terrace looks today. The Hispanic Society is on your left, and on your right, which was the Museum of the Numismatic Museum, it's now Boricua College, but you can still visit It's a beautiful campus. And the Hispanic Society of America, it's free. You know, you can visit at any time. This is how it looks inside. If you look on your right, this photo here, that is Archie Huntington in his later years. And Huntington, like I said, he just collected stuff from all over the world. He had Goyas, he had Velasquez paintings, he had the last Americo Vespucci map of 1529. The last time I visited the Hispanic Society, I held in my own hands the first edition of Don Quixote, you know, downstairs in this reading room. So it's an amazing place. They have exhibitions on Moorish weapons, Joaquin Sorolla paintings all over. And this is all Archie Huntington. This guy was not Spanish. He was not Latino. He just loved Spanish art, and he just loved the inspiration of it as well. So you probably wondered where Library Street came from in Country Club. Well, this is where it comes from. This is Archie Huntington's personal library. I try to get a clearer picture, but I think I could get the point across here, right? This was located in the Bronx. This was his personal library that was located in Pleasance, that mansion that once sat in Huntington Woods. By the way, when the mansion was torn, this was all given to the Hispanic Society of America. So, as I mentioned before, at Audubon Terrace, Archie Huntington also built for his friend George Hay, who was at the time one of the largest collector of Native American culture, right? Well, Archie Huntington built for his friend the Museum of the Native American, the Museum of the American Indian, sorry. Well, if you look down here to your right, if you notice this, if you can see my cursor here, that was the Museum of the American Indian. That was the very first outside of Manhattan. And the reason why this was built, because Hay's collection, it was just getting crazy. It was expanding, he was collecting more, and he was amassing more of these items that Archie Huntington started building these storage facilities for his friend. So what you're looking at is the Museum of the American Indian on Bruckner Boulevard. And just to give you an example, an idea where it's at, it was just on the same triangular plot of where today's Pelham Bay Library branch is. So the original plan, Hay's plan, was to build more structures on this triangular plot and to have like a courtyard in the middle where you can have exhibitions, you can have statues. Well, for some years, people would drive by and see teepees there. Well, that was part of the operations that was happening there, but this building is no longer in existence. You now have residents sitting there, but we still have the Pelham Bay Public Library on the other side of that triangular plot. However, remember that I mentioned that there were storage facilities built throughout, right? Well, here's another one, and this is the last one that's still standing that was built by Archer Huntington for his friend, George Hay, to store his Native American collection. What you see here is 5 Westchester Square, and it sits on the same property as the Huntington Free Library and Reading Room. This building housed the last collections of Hay before it was given to Cornell University in the 1990s, early 1990s. So the building is no longer being used, and it's now being negotiated with the New York Public Library. They want to buy the building, tear it down, and build a brand new one. So we're looking forward to that because this building cannot be used anymore. But we're just happy, as president of the library here at Huntington, I am just happy that it's being used for the greater good and for public use. So going back to Huntington Woods, you know, these large estates owners, they saw the writing on the wall. They saw that land speculation and development was the business to be in, and the city was on top of that. So if you see on your right, New York Times article talking about the sale of the old Huntington Estate, which was the Waterbury Estate. And this is 1926. It was said to be worth $400,000. Archie Huntington wanted this piece for parks, but his original idea was to build a museum for children. But that didn't necessarily pan out. Instead, the property was not used until the 1930s, when one of the old horse stable houses was taken over by the New York Police Department. And it's still used today for horse stables. Country Club on your left became Country Club Land Association. And this is where you saw the selling off of these smaller lots that were owned by the original members of Country Club, the Waterburys, the Lorlards. You still have the Lorillard Spencer Estates, right? Spencer Avenue, right? Well, that was also a huge development owned by that particular family in the Bronx. So here we are. You know, this is the last map of the Bronx that shows the Huntington Estate. This was the last holdout, one of the last pieces of private property before the Parks Department came in and, you know, took over and expanded. We don't have anything left of the mansion Plaisance. I can tell you where it was located, but we're still lucky to have the graves, the stones, because they sort of tell a story. And also Country Club. If you learn about Country Club, it talks about the Waterbury legacy at Pelham Bay Park. People don't realize that before Pelham Bay Park was made, you had other communities in it. You had Stanyard Town, you had Bartow on the Sound, you know, these smaller communities that were obliterated when the Parks Department came in and landscaped the whole piece. And boom, Parks Department took over in 1926, and that's when the whole story goes. However, this is how Huntington Woods looks today. You can walk through, and as soon as you walk through, if you really want to take a look at the horse graves and the race dogs' graves, well, you could just walk almost probably like 100 yards and just make a left towards the horse stables. And that's where you see the clearing, and you can see the graveyard there. On your left, that is the pathway. You can see the dog run on your right. On your left is the pathway leading you to that baseball diamond and onto Indian Rock. But I just want to go back to your right. If you take the path, you know, in the photo on your left, there is a red brick wall that runs from one of the paths taking you from the recreation area all the way to the water. Well, this brick wall, I thought it was erected by the Huntington family. It actually dates back to the Waterbury family. And it was their border separating their estates from the Furman family, who were the first to sell their property to the Parks Department. So that wall, that brick wall, the next time you're in that part of Pelham Bay Park, you're looking at a vestige of Bronx history, a vestige of that old Plaisance mansion that once sat at Huntington's Woods. And that's it. That's my show. Thank you very much.
Oh, Angel, on behalf of all of us at the Friends of Pelham Bay Park, we thank you for that wonderful presentation. It's so informative. So much history that we have right here in our backyard. So again, we thank you. And we do have a couple of minutes for some questions. I see that there are some in the chat, in the Q&A function. Some of them have been answered. But we have one here from Joanne Strauss. Was Middlebrook eradicated when the Throgs Neck Bridge was constructed?
No, it actually was covered at the end of the 19th century. You know, as you saw more people moving on to these estates, these former estates, you saw a lot of land alterations. And as you know, that part of the Bronx, it was swamp land. So a lot of these estate owners, people, they had the business of solidifying their land so they can build more on their property. So Middlebrook was one of those land features that was just swallowed up with this constant land alteration. However, if you want to take a good look at the old Middlebrook, during the American Revolution, there was a map built by a person named Blaskowitz for the British. And this map is so detailed. It details how Throgs Neck looked during the war. And you can clearly see how wide Middlebrook was. It was so wide that the British would actually sail up it as well. So that's how Middletown Road was created. Middletown itself, the town was created because it was at the head of this brook. But you still have Weir Creek, which is part of that whole water system.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm also looking as well.
Ah, okay. Okay. So do any of the families still have any connection to their historical land ownership?
I don't think so, because it's all Parks Department now. It's all belonging to the city. However, I'm pretty sure we have some Waterburys. We have Huntingtons. I mean, you know, we have a Huntington family in California. The Huntington family, they are a family of philanthropists. So they're all over. I'm always trying to contact one of them to see if they can send us $1 million so we can fix our roof here. But they're around. They're around. We still have Pels around. So, but as far as coming back and claiming territory, nah, they're gonna have to fight Parks. They're gonna have to fight Marianne and Noka, you know, Friends of Pelham Bay Park to get that happening. I'm looking through. Let's see. By the way, if you're gonna look for the horse graveyard, please be careful. There's poison ivy out there. There's ticks. I know it's colder now, but it's the woods. I mean, it's there's no manicuring. You know, Huntington Woods. The only thing that disappeared was the house, but you know, the wood area is still there. You know, the brick wall is still there, and you just want to be careful, you know, traversing the grounds. But it's an eerie sort of feeling, you know, when you're sitting there and you're looking at these graves, because you know, this just evokes a time when the Bronx was the background for the backyard for the rich, where they used to, you know, have their festivities and have these outdoor recreational events. So just be careful getting out there. And also, there is some, I'm still doing research on Huntington Woods. There's some random concrete items sticking out the ground. I don't know what, Marianne, I don't know if you know about that, but you know, there's just some weird items that are located throughout Huntington Woods that I would still like to do some research. But, you know, just take the time, you know, take a walk through, and perhaps you can find something, and, you know, just let me know about it. Yep.
I mean, I could speak a little bit to the concrete pieces and things like that. There were things that were built, I guess, in the teens and the 20s that were then torn down afterwards. Like, I think at one point there was some kind of, it wasn't a boathouse, but I think there was something on the water there. Angel, you and I have to get together, and I have some old, you know, maps and things like that.
Yeah, and I would love
to add to the talk.
I would love to see those land acquisition maps. You know,
especially with your historical research, and you did a great job with it.
You know, I had a big debate with someone at Bartow because they didn't believe that some of the priory, the Pelham Priory, became part of Pelham Bay Park. So, and I only saw that through a land acquisition map. And the only way I saw that, it was because it was at the Bronx County Historical Society, but it wasn't scanned. I couldn't find it online. So if you could let me have that, because have a look at it, because that would quell a lot of questions as well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. The history behind the park is really fascinating. Thank
Absolutely. You. Absolutely. I mean, you know, it's fascinating how many mansions were located in Pelham Bay Park. You know, you had the Marshall Mansion, the Hunter Mansion, Oakshade. That's where Dr. Richard Morris, grandson of the signer, lived. And then all of a sudden, you know, in the 1930s, you saw these houses disappear. In fact, you know, Mayor LaGuardia had to move into Bartow Pell Mansion in the 1930s, you know, and use the excuse, oh, come out, you know, explore your city and come visit City Hall in the Bronx. The real story is he was watching Robert Moses, keeping an eye on.
I was just going to say that. He was watching Richard Beach be built.
and why? Because I think it was the American Garden Club. You know, they complained to LaGuardia. They were like, you know, this guy's tearing down these beautiful mansions, and he's going to tear down our own mansion, you know, at the Bartow Pell. So LaGuardia literally moved City Hall to the Bronx. And that's how he stopped Robert Moses from tearing down Bartow Pell Mansion. So at the Historical Society, I don't know if anyone knew this, but on the grounds of the Historical Society, where the Civil War soldier is, just next to it, there is a mile marker, right? And if you lift it up, because it's been sitting on the ground for so long, on it, it says in red letters, City Hall. And there's an arrow pointing, like it's pointing north. Well, that marker was located at McKinley Square on Boston Road and 169th Street. And it was just telling people where City Hall was, and it was pointing north. So if you took Boston Road all the way, you would end up at, you know, at Pelham Bay Park somewhere, right? Not no more, because you got the hutch. But, you know, that's just an example of, you know, Pelham Bay Park and how in its own, it's a vestige of Bronx history. And it had all these structures on it that, you know, it's just amazing how things change over the years. So, yep. In fact, if you go to Bartow Pell Mansion, they still have the bathroom that they made for him. It's on the second floor. It's special alterations. I think it was wider or something like that. So there's still some legacy there at Bartow Pell Mansion.
Angel, I'm not sure if you saw this question, Maria Sutherland. I have heard that the stone pier on the Huntington property has a sister pier on City Island. Is that true? And can you tell us more about it?
You know what? I don't know for sure, but I can tell you this. You know, everyone's all about hoopla. You know, they're all crazy about ferries. And there was a time when the Bronx was surrounded by ferries. I mean, you could take an excursion from Country Club to City Island, from City Island to the islands in the East River. I mean, you know, excursion boats were the thing up until the 1940s. So I'm not sure if there was a sister pier, but I wouldn't be surprised to the least that there was some, you know, bouncing back and forth between Country Club and City Island. I mean, you know, outdoor recreation, especially for the affluent, you know, that was the thing in the Bronx, and boat excursions was a big part of that. Someone asked what was on Hunter Island. Well, you had a mansion there that was torn down. That was a casino for many years. It was a hotel. Now you don't have much on Hunter Island. However, if you can look closely, you can still see the foundations of the house. My friend Jorge, he found some items throughout Pelham Bay Park. Nilka and I, we've traversed through Pelham Bay Park as well. We always find something on Hunter Island, but make sure you can visit the other islands, Twin Island as well, Two Trees Island, which is, I think you got to sail a bit. But, you know, just giving you an example that Pelham Bay, you know, was a place where it was an escape from the city. It was like going to the Hamptons. You know, it was just a world away from another one. And, you know, the mansions were just vestiges of that old legacy.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions?
What was the name of the map maker? Are you, that's one of the questions by Joanne Strauss. Americo Vespucci? That's the map maker I mentioned.
I believe that question is in relation to, you mentioned you had seen a couple of maps about the area the park is on before it was Pelham Bay Park.
Oh, the maps that I've shown. Oh, these are atlases. These are from the Bromley atlases. These were, you can still find these at the Historical Society. We also have copies here at the Huntington Free Library. If you want to look at some examples, David Rumsey has a great map collection online, and you can see some of these maps as well. The other map, the Parks Land Acquisition map, that's a map that you can speak with Marianne about, because that lies with the Parks Department.
I think you mentioned a map maker when you talked about Middletown and where the brook, was it?
Oh, yes, Blaskowitz.
Yes,
let me get the name of that person. Yes, it's the Blaskowitz maps. Hold on. Charles Blaskowitz, 1777. So he drew this map for the British, and it's an excellent map. It's huge. I mean, it's going to take a lot of memory to download, but it shows you Throgs Neck. It shows you the invasion of Lord General Howe when he came and invaded the Bronx, which is now where Silver Beach is at. That's where General Howe disembarked his army. And you can see the Middlebrook. You can see East Tremont, which was a waterway, right? And it's a beautiful map. It's very colorful, and it just shows you the battle at Pell's Point. And it just gives you an excellent idea of the terrain of the Southeast Bronx and how it looked during the American Revolution, and even before that, before major development happened in the borough. Charles Blaskowitz, and apologies for that. Thank you very much.
Angel, if you could put that information, the name.
It's already there.
Okay, great. And we have one last question from our very own Amelia, who's asking, the Huntingtons, are they the same as the Huntington Beach in California?
I believe so. I believe that is a nephew of Collis P. Huntington. And they also have the Huntington Library. You know, that's our sister institution in California. They also have a botanical garden. They also have, they were environmentalists as well. Archie and Collis, they donated their estate in the Adirondacks for animal refuge and preservation. So they were a family, a huge family of philanthropy, and their name resonates even until this day. And I have to thank Collis P. Huntington, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be sitting in this own vestige of Bronx history.
Are there any more questions? We have a couple of more minutes, so if anyone has another question, you can kindly put it in the question and answer box. And please remember to visit us at www.friendsofpelhambay.org and follow us on social media. We are on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. We'll wait just a couple more minutes just in case there's any more questions. And we thank you all for chiming in tonight. And I do want to give a quick shout out. Our new website, and I incorrectly stated it, it is pelhambaypark.org, is brand new. It was revamped by our own Sam Halpern. So thank you very much to Sam. And please visit the website There's a lot of information there, upcoming events. We'll be doing another lecture in the winter.
Noka, can I make an announcement too?
Absolutely.
So first, thank you everyone for having me. It's always a pleasure. You know, I love talking about Bronx history. I can do this all night. On Saturday, we are having a turkey giveaway at the Huntington Free Library. If you know anyone that would like to have a turkey for the holiday, send them over. There is a QR code that I can share, or if you want more information, please feel free to reach out to me. And also, we are planning to open the library in the spring for research. The reason why we've been closed is due to the pandemic, but also we just started our first comprehensive digitization project. So we are now assessing our collections, we're cataloging our books, we're scanning, we're printing, we're doing all types of stuff so we could get it ready for researchers, because what we're trying to do is not only be a community space, but we also want to be an institute for Bronx history, especially with the New York Public Library slated to be built next door to us. So please go to our website for any updates. But for Saturday, if you want to come by and help, just feel free to reach out to me. I'm at president@huntingtonfreelibrary.org, or you can find us on Instagram or on Facebook as well. So thank you, everyone. It's always a pleasure doing this with you.
And just a quick reminder, our very own Amelia will be hosting a lecture on the Hutchinson River in February. She is part of the Hutchinson River Restoration Project, which the Friends of Pelham Bay Park is, we do some work with them during the year. So please make sure that you follow us. And this concludes our lecture this evening. So we thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you enjoyed it as much as we did. And please, once again, just check out the website, pelhambay.org. And please remember to follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And thank you so very much. We hope you have a great evening.